You know, I've known Mohan doing this work at least for about 15 years. He's got a team of about 10 volunteers, and he and Kathy, of course, are well known. Uh, they've been doing good work. His NGO is one of the very few, if not the only one, which takes in very sick, very old animals, which are not likely to be rehomed. And they, ALL, Animal Lovers League, also does not believe in euthanasia. So the animals are cared for until the end of their lives. Obviously, this means that the costs of care are very high. So you can see what the issues are. Animal Lovers League, ALL, will need a very strong brand, very strong marketing to try and persuade people to contribute to the running of the NGO. They've tried, but I understand they did not manage to raise enough funds, and they have had funding challenges after COVID. So Mohan and his team, they have very good intentions, very good hearts. People in this field know them. They know what kind of people they are. But you got to look at the efforts in the broader aspects. They want certain aims, they want to achieve those aims, but they need the funds, and the fundraising efforts have not been very successful. That's why they are in this situation. I can understand the position that ABS has taken, and I'll make 4 points. First, ABS, I know, works closely with both ALL as well as all the other animal welfare groups, tries to help them. For example, this place has been built, and rentals are kept low, and service and conservancy charges are waived. AVS partners the welfare groups, animal welfare groups, to trap, neuter, rehome, manage animals, and then pays the AWGs, animal welfare groups, for this work. Second, if you look at ALL specifically, they haven't paid rent for about 4.5 years. And AVS has tried to give them time to sort things out. But AVS is a government organization, and questions can be asked, will be asked, as to why they are not collecting the rent that is due. Because all the other tenants, all the other animal welfare groups are paying rent. And if AVS allows one NGO not to pay rent, then others can ask, why do they have to pay rent too, right? Got to be fair. And as a government organization, AVS can only go on a basis of some structured, consistent rules. So I think the approach they've taken is understandable. In fact, it can be said that they've already been exceptionally lenient towards ALL. And they've also helped to arrange for installment payment for the areas of rental. And the third point I'll make is, you know, ALL volunteers and others who have seen the state of the animals have made complaints to ABS. So, in that context, if ABS does not take action, people will turn around and point to ABS and say, ABS has been negligent. Yeah, animals are in such a bad condition. Then how does ABS explain the fact that it hasn't taken any action? That would be seen as a serious dereliction of duty if ABS does not act. So ABS really is in a very difficult position. They try to be sympathetic to ALL, but the government has to act when members of the public provide information that is of concern. ABS has taken over some of the animals. It is working with other animal welfare groups and the Singapore Vet Association to care for them. And the fourth point is that while ALL's intentions were and are noble, I think they didn't have the means to carry through these intentions. So, as I've said, ALL took in very sick animals which are not likely to be rehomed, and they wanted to see these animals through to the end of their life. Cost a lot of money, and ALL could not raise the money. So, you know, that also puts ABS in a difficult position. So, it's, I think ALL would have had to have looked at their situation very carefully and have had very uh, straight discussions upfront much earlier as to what is possible and what's not possible. I intend to suggest one or two ideas to ALL, but I think it will be premature to share these ideas publicly. I've also discussed with Minister of State Alvin Khan, in MND. He is in charge of this area. He is familiar with the issues. He is dealing with them. one issue in particular, if you look at animal welfare groups, they've been trying to deal with the problems downstream, dealing with the strays, pets that no one wants to care for anymore. But the supply of pets from breeders is a significant issue, and it's an upstream issue. If you keep getting pets which are then abandoned or given up after some time, how do you solve the problem? How are NGOs going to care for them given the costs of veterinary care, other costs? Many have highlighted this issue on my social media and elsewhere. I spoke to MOS Elvin about this. MND is well aware of the problem. They're looking at it carefully.
Minister, LL is currently being investigated, right? Why did you decide to address this and speak about it now?
Okay, a confession. When I spoke about it, put up my post, I hadn't realized that they were under investigation. No, I don't carry a candle for ALL, and I realized that even though I speak in my personal capacity, it has larger implications. Um, but I will say this: I decided to speak up um, because people were criticizing ALL, people were jumping in, some were criticizing MND and AVS, and I felt that people ought to understand the fact. And since I've known Mohan and I've known of his work, I thought I should explain, look, this is a man who has given a lot of his life to this work. He's committed, as far as I know. He is a sincere person. He works very hard. I've seen him, his volunteers turn up at many events. They are very focused on animal welfare, and I wanted to make that point. If I had known that there were investigations, maybe I would have been a bit more careful. Now I know, but this is my position. I cannot vouch for what they did or what they didn't do because I've never been to their shelter previously, nor do I go through their accounts, nor do I know what exactly happened. Uh, but I have interacted with Mohan and his team in a variety of contexts dealing with animals, and that was the reason why I put up my post. I felt that some sympathy was necessary. Maybe they weren't good with finances, they didn't raise enough money, they didn't know how to plan, they were very intent on keeping the animals to the end of life, but they don't have the means to do it. Those are management issues. But I felt that their work, somebody who knows their work should speak up. That's why I spoke up. But I would have been a bit more careful if I had known there were investigations.